What's up, everyone? This is Jay here at Fantasy Labs, and I'm finally back with Volume 3 of the Bankroll Builder Series. In Volume 1, I broke down a broad way to manage your bankroll and what types of games you should be entering. In Volume 2, I explained how you can't get discouraged from a poor night and change any of your bankroll tactics, as well as the optimal way to deal with Scott Skiles. For Volume 3, I'm going to discuss why it is important to not just say, F it, I'm going all in. Before I get into that, you can see that I climbed my way back all the way to even with a dominating performance from the other night. It was basically the 1999 season from Pedro Martinez, only condensed into one night. So looking at my game history real quick, I'm exactly even, as you can see, investment and earnings in the 2 days of playing. So not very spectacular so far. I did double my money in the and one tourney from the other night, which was nice at least. So looking at this, you might think to yourself, what's the point? This video is supposed to be a bankroll builder series, and you're a worse builder than Emmett from the Lego movie. And I can't really argue against that as of now, but it's really important to understand that when you're grinding a bankroll and you don't have disposable income to keep throwing in your account unless you're the truest of the true degens, you definitely have to be patient. So if you're doing everything right, such as researching all the tools available to you, staying on top of injury news, which we have over here on the left, using solid game selection, then your variance will normalize over the course of a season. You have to remember that NBA is very long. It's a very long season with a ton of slates overall. So overcoming and understanding variance is definitely key to your future success. So I know it's really easy to sit there and play a few nights and you look and your balance is the exact same. You haven't banked a tourney. You just want to shove. But this is how people lose their bankroll over and over, this exact thing. So I know we got Game of Thrones is just 43 days away and HBO Now is $15 a month. So how are you going to watch Game of Thrones if all you do is break even? You'll likely want to go for quick glory to get that cost settled. But just like Lord Varys said, influence is largely a matter of patience. So you got to be patient before you can triumph in a GPP. Now, since I'm at the exact same balance I started with, I'm still going to use the same bankroll management and get in the exact same amount of action. So I'm going to post, same as the first two nights. Let's go ahead and make sure it's the right slate, and let's do 5 ones. And 2 twos. We'll limit to 1 here. And I'm just going to reserve these for now. And let's go ahead and join the $1 tourney, the and 1, before I believe it fills. Oh yeah, people are swarming like degens to fill this one. So we'll reserve one of these, and we got our $10 in entries. Alright, so we got our action out there waiting. So let's head over to Fantasy Labs to build the cash lineup for tonight. So this is actually just a 4-game slate. This is Thursday, March 10th. So we definitely have limited options here overall. I'll start with point guard here and kind of breaking it down. You see we have Emmanuel Mudiay at the top, which obviously a great matchup here for him and a price that I definitely really like. So let's go ahead and lock him in, #1 value under point guard. Let's go to shooting guard. Kind of same thing here looking overall. There are a few guys I definitely like, but it's very thin overall. And Devin Booker, the way he's been playing lately, definitely a strong play against Denver at that price, which is a pretty easy matchup. And Brandon Knight was active the other night but didn't play. I don't think he's likely to play until he kind of puts in a full practice, which means he might not see actual game time until March 17th. Now, in small forward, it's kind of the same thing. I'm looking overall, and obviously I like LeBron versus the Lakers. There's definitely a blowout factor with him as well as Kawhi, who is 14.5-point favorites. But you look at the price difference here, and yeah, the Spurs got everybody back. As you can see right here, all Spurs players will be available to play. I still like the soft price for Kawhi, and definitely the matchup there with Jimmy Butler out. I'm definitely fine going Kawhi here. And you really want to save money here on DraftKings where it's really tight pricing overall. So being able to save 1,400 there is definitely worth it in my opinion. So let's move on to power forward. So power forward's tough. I'm really trying to find a cheap play on this slate, and it's very difficult to come by. One guy that stands out to me a little bit, and this will kind of depend on the role Toronto will go with tonight, whether it's Luis Scola out of the rotation with these back, but I don't mind Patrick Patterson at 3,500. I'm really trying to find someone under 4K here to save money on, so I can kind of afford some of these guys that are solid like Kawhi and even Moutier a bit. So let's move on because I don't really want to look at his name too much here and go to center where I definitely like obviously Alex Len, who has been very chalky as of late. We have a lot of people going him. Jokic has been on a roll lately, very consistent. And you look at both these players, this type of game, and you assume they're both going to play. This is a good game for them to get minutes. Len is kind of locked into minutes, and Jokic is the guy you sometimes have to worry about. But in this game, I'm definitely not worried. So I'm actually going to go both of them. I don't love the matchup for Powell, but he's been a monster lately. Butler out increases his role a bit, but obviously the matchup is tough and the price isn't really realistic there. So I'm going to go ahead and go Jokic and Len. And then let's go to the guard spot. And a guy I've been looking at who's exceeded expectation quite a bit lately, frequently, is Jordan Clarkson. I'm expecting Kobe to either sit this one out or be extremely limited here. So I definitely like Clarkson's role at a underpriced 6,200 really for DK. So I'm going to go ahead and lock him in, which leaves us to just a forward spot. And looking at the top, we got Kawhi in. I definitely like Aldridge going against the Bulls here, but he's a bit expensive. You can see I'm just a bit off here. So the guy I'm looking at a lot who's been on fire, especially at home here, is Kenneth Faried, who's just had a huge month so far. So I'm going to go ahead and lock him in. You see we have 100 left over. So overall, definitely a lineup that I like. We got 3 Denver guys, 2 Phoenix guys, and a very high total. It's relatively balanced other than, you're taking a risk with Patrick Patterson there, who is definitely the weak point of this lineup. So let's go ahead over back to DK and put this lineup in. All right, so point guards, we got Moutier. Shooting guard, we got Booker. Small forward, Kawhi. Power forward, we got the heavyweight, Patrick Patterson. We're doubling up at center, which I always like to do on DraftKings, especially when we have guys kind of underpriced and other positions are a bit weak. So let's go ahead and go Len and Jokic. At the guard spot, we're going to go ahead and go Jordan Clarkson, and forward Kenneth Faried there. So let's submit that. Alright, let's go to my lineups. And we'll go ahead and export these to all my cash games. And we'll do the tournament for now and then just edit that with a tournament team. So let's go to my contests and edit the and one. Clear here, and let's go back over to Fantasy Labs and work on a tournament team. So looking at this slate overall, I think you kind of have chalky plays. People will kind of focus on Denver-Phoenix game. Definitely the ease of matchup with the Cavs, with LeBron, Love, Kyrie for sure. Maybe even J.R. Smith, Tristan Thompson if Mozgov is out. You kind of have all those guys in play. So 2 guys I'm really looking at on this slate that I like, A, their ownership, and B, their upside are, for one, Kyle Lowry, and 2, looking at power forward, I really love Paul Millsap in this spot. So I'm going to go ahead and lock them in, and let's go ahead and optimize and see what we get. Alright, so going through, we got Devin Booker, who I definitely, am pretty high on here. We got Kent Bazemore, who's not in a bad spot here overall. We got Tim Duncan at just 4,400, who still has some upside, and I actually really like the spot for him. Obviously, a very, very strong matchup versus the Bulls, big men. Gary Harris, who definitely has some upside. LaMarcus Aldridge falls in line with Duncan with a great matchup here. I think people will kind of pivot off Duncan, well, Duncan especially, but Aldridge is underpriced on DK, but I don't think he'll have as high of ownership because the entire Spurs team is healthy. So, and then Jokic, who is a prime tourney play. He's a cash play on this slate especially, but usually a tourney play with minutes concern, but a guy who has huge upside. So overall, I really love this tournament team. I get Lowry and Millsap in there, who are two guys I think will be under-owned and can offer plenty of upside. So let's go ahead and put that in. So we got Lowry, Booker, Bazemore, Millsap. We got Duncan, who I don't think many people will be on at all, even at a dirt cheap price there. And we're definitely trying to be a bit contrarian here. So let's put Gary Harris in the guard spot as well. Go back to LaMarcus Aldridge. And then the utility, we're going to go Jokic here. All right, let's submit that lineup. Okay, so now that we got everything good to go, make sure you got your action. So we'll go through real quick. We can see our total entry fees are 10. It's 10% of our bankroll, which I really want to stick with throughout this entire series. You can look at your lineups, just make sure they're good before you kind of move on there. All right, so yeah, now it's just time to kind of relax, pay attention to the news. There's not much news hanging out there. We got Kobe questionable, Mozgov questionable with the illness. Hopefully we can follow Pedro's 99 season with his 2000 season, which was arguably even better. So good luck everybody with your games, and remember to not shove no matter how slowly you're building your bankroll at first. If there's anything I've learned playing DFS, it's respect the grind, and the grind will respect you. That and try to avoid being a donkey, I guess. I'll see you guys next time with Volume 4 of the Bankroll Builder Series.